Mattias Norlinder, the Canadian-Swedish defenseman, has now been sent to the Laval Rocket, which I believe confused a lot of people. So before we get started on any takeaways from that, Stu, can you explain to everybody why the Canadiens are actually allowed to send Mattias Norlinder to Laval?
Yeah, well, I'll give Arpon Basso, the Athletic, credit. He was the first guy who reported it yesterday and broke it down, saying that because Norlinder was on the Canadiens roster as of December 1st, apparently there's a transfer agreement between the NHL and the Swedish Hockey Federation that says the Canadiens are no longer obligated to send him back to Sweden, and they can send him to Laval if they want. It doesn't mean they can't send him back to Sweden, but they have the option. And it would make no sense sending him back to Sweden at this point unless they have to, because you want him to get used to playing on the smaller NHL rink. And that's been one of the biggest adjustments for him. And Coach Dominic Ducharme has spoken about that. And Norlinder, excuse me, has spoken about that also. There's different angles, and players are on you a lot quicker on the forecheck than they are on the bigger European surface. So it's a technicality at the Canadiens. Good for them to be able to work it. He hasn't played 10 games yet. He's played 6, I believe. So his first year of his NHL entry-level contract doesn't kick in unless he plays 10 games. But you can see why they kept him around so long. It makes no sense to send him back to Sweden and have him play on the big rink when one of the biggest adjustments he's going to have is playing on the small rink. So now he can go to Laval. He can play there. They can play him on the power play. They can give him a ton of ice time down there, which is going to be the best thing for his development. He's also, Laval so close to Montreal. He's still around the Montreal environment, getting used to the new city. He can still live wherever he's been living. I imagine he's been living downtown. You can take the metro out to Laval. That's what Ryan Poehling was doing when he was playing for the Rocket. And anybody who's a Montrealer will realize trying to drive to Laval is insane. You're much better taking the metro to the games. So it works out really well for the Canadiens in this situation. And I think it works out well for Norlinder also for his development. And for me at this point, it would make sense to just leave him in Laval the rest of the season, play him 20, 25 minutes a game, play him on the power play, play him in all situations, and get him used to the smaller rink. Because there's no doubt that the skills are there from watching him during training camp and the limited amount of time he's had playing with the Canadiens. He's got a lot of talent.
Yeah, let this kid play. I mean, watching him in his other games, it's unfortunate that he doesn't log more ice time, because he does have the tools to be a really good defenseman. He's his ability to skate. He's a heads up, steady type of player that can play well, and he has to develop by playing. And let's get him out there. I mean, obviously, with time, getting adjustments to the more North American ice surface, he's going to get better. But he has all the tools to be a good player. But he's not going to get better if he doesn't play, like Stu says, serious situations where there's power play, penalty killing, and logging lots of minutes, on a regular shift. So if you want to develop these kids, the time is now. Give them the opportunity. They have the tools. Let them develop it, and we'll see good things, I think, for the future for this young defenseman.
Yeah, it's the perfect situation for the Canadiens when it comes to the development of Norlinder, because when he goes back to Sweden, you don't have the same kind of, control over his development that you would if he's playing here in Laval, that they can have a plan in place between the Canadiens and the Laval Rocket staff on how they want to develop this young defenseman. It's also from Europe, so getting used to playing here in North America is huge, and just even getting used to living here in Montreal. So I think the Canadiens definitely did luck out there. Not having to say, either he's playing with the Habs or going back to Sweden. But it's the perfect scenario for them, because he's a player that shows that he has talent, but it's just going to take a little bit more time for him.
And in Jeff Gorton's news conference, he said, the two things he really wanted to focus on right away were analytics and player development. And player development's been a big problem for this team. They just haven't been able to develop guys. They've rushed guys. They don't seem to have a solid plan. And it's interesting because I was listening to Aaron Ward on TSN radio recently, and he played with the Red Wings, and he spoke about how with the Red Wings, you knew when you got drafted, you were going to Adirondack. You were going to the farm team. It didn't matter if you were a first-round pick. You were going down there, and you were learning what it is to be a pro. You were learning about what the Red Wings system would be. You were learning about what was to be expected from you. And it was just like you weren't going right to the NHL. And the Red Wings still do that more or less to this day. And I think the Canadiens, you look at Kotkaniemi and Galchenyuk and Victor Mete and all these guys that they've rushed into the NHL, and Cole Caulfield right now, it hasn't worked. And I think when you have a franchise that develops a policy where when you come to the team, you're going to go to the AHL, I think it makes it a lot easier. Ryan Poehling talked about how he took it so hard when he got cut from the Canadiens and went to Laval. Well, if you're in a situation when you get drafted by a team, you almost know that's going to happen. You don't take it as such a blow. You go down there, you learn your thing, and when you're ready, you come up. And I think the Canadiens that's something they need to do moving forward. They got to stop rushing these young guys into the NHL and let them go to Laval and let them learn. I mean, there's a lot more that goes with playing pro hockey than just what happens on the ice. For a lot of these guys, especially juniors, or they've gone from living with a billet family or Cole Caulfield living in a dorm. Now you're on your own. You're living by yourself. There's a whole lot that goes into it. It's a lot of learning. And the Canadiens, I think, need to slow down that learning process and make it, sending guys to Laval is not a bad thing. And Norlinder right now, to me, that's a perfect fit for him.
I just want to add to that point from Stu. A big reason why the Canadiens have pressed so many of those young players into those roles is the construction of their roster. Mattias Norlinder was getting those minutes this year because we know what the Canadiens on defense look like. They look bad in their own end, and when they're trying to in transition, they have not been able to succeed on that front. So a guy like Mattias Norlinder, as raw of a prospect as he is, all of a sudden he looks like a guy like, oh wow, like he has those skills to do it. So the Canadiens put those expectations on him. This team has been starved for goals for how many years? No wonder they put Cole Caulfield in the lineup as soon as they did. And you can go through the whole list of players who've been put in that situation. Victor Mete as well. Remember when he started playing with the Montreal Canadiens, playing alongside Shea Weber. A big reason why the player development has not worked out for the Montreal Canadiens is because they've rushed players. A big reason why they've rushed players, the lineup in front of them, they have not filled it out with sufficient players who are able to fill in those roles that, they're pressing those rookies in. One big way for the Canadiens to be able to put some of the guys that they draft to go either straight to the AHL or just, let them season a little bit more on their junior teams, the team that they put on the ice has to have at least some kind of veteran up there that's able to kind of do the job and be at least a stopgap. So that way they prevent the Montreal Canadiens from rushing these prospects onto the team. We have a lot to talk about, obviously, on Mattias Norlinder. I'm sure this saga will not end anytime soon. Who knows? There's a report circulating around. He might even just want to go straight back home to Sweden. We'll definitely address that when it comes time. But in the meantime, subscribe to the Hockey Inside Out YouTube page and subscribe to the Hockey Inside Out newsletter. You can go to MontrealGazette.com/newsletters for that. And, of course, go to HockeyInsideOut.com to check out our full episode where we go in on Patrick Waugh and analytics and other stuff with the Montreal Canadiens.